Good evening and welcome again to the webinar series of the Andolan Jeevani Gang. This is our fourth episode, and you must be remembering that uh, the name Andolan Jeevani, we are grateful to Mr. Modi ji for this name because he used this term Andolan Jeevi in an abusive form uh, to spread hatred against the struggling mass, the people who are struggling for democracy against oppression. But for us, the Andolan Jeevanis, the Andolan Jeevani gang, it is a word of pride because we know that without Andolan, without struggle, we women cannot survive. वैसे तो लोग हमें कहते हैं कि और कितना आंदोलन आप लोग करोगे, आप लोगों को तो जो चाहिए था सब मिल गया, आप लोगों को वोट चाहिए था, नाउ यू आर हैविंग द वोटिंग राइट, आप लोगों को पढ़ना चाहिए था, आप लोगों को नौकरी चाहिए था, आप लोगों को तो सब मिल गया. So still now, why do you claim yourselves to be Andolan Jeevani and Andolan Jeevani gang? So let me remind the viewers that हमें तो नौकरी का अधिकार मिल गया, लेकिन अभी तक स्पेशली भारतवर्ष में we do not claim ourselves to be unemployed. हम लोगों को यदि पूछा जाए कि आप लोग क्या करते हो, तो we are ashamed to claim ourselves unemployed. हमारे लिए कुछ नया नया नाम है, होम मेकर एंड ऑल, लेकिन अभी तक हम अपने आप को अनएम्प्लॉयड, बेकार कहना नहीं मानते. हम लोग ऐसा नहीं कहते हैं. अभी तक हम लोग काम तो करते हैं, लेकिन स्टिल we do not have the property rights from land to inheritance properties. We do not have those rights. और बहुत कुछ नहीं है हमारे पास. लेकिन सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि जो जो अधिकार हमने जीत लिया था पिछले 200 वर्ष में, पिछले 300 वर्ष में, जो जो अधिकार भी हैड गेन्ड, लेकिन आज का जमाना है भारतवर्ष में और शायद पूरे विश्व में जो फैसिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट हो रहा है हमारे देश में और शायद पूरे विश्व में, जो राइट्स हमने गेन किया था वो हमारे हाथ से फिसल रहा है. तो अभी तक हमें नौकरी नहीं मिली, अभी तक हम अपने आप को अनएम्प्लॉयड नहीं कहते, लेकिन इसके बाद जो जमाना आ रहा है उसमें शायद अपने आप को अनएम्प्लॉयड कहना, एम्प्लॉयमेंट मांगना हमारे लिए शर्मिंदगी की बात हो जाएगी, क्योंकि हमें कहा जाएगा कि योर असली प्लेस घर में है, परिवार में है. एम्प्लॉयमेंट ढूंढना आपके लिए उतनी बड़ी बात नहीं है. सो वी आर इन स्ट्रगल, वी आर आंदोलन जीवनीज, एंड इन दिस एपिसोड our speaker is Mallige Shrimani. She is an Andolan Jeevani from Karnataka. She is struggling her whole life. We'll hear from her about her struggle and about the struggle of the women in India. And as you must be remembering, हमारा जो पिछले एपिसोड में जो स्पीकर थी, that is Meera Vijayalakshmi, she will host this episode. So Meera and Mallige, welcome to this forum, welcome to this webinar episode. The theme is Andolan Jeevanis will speak about their struggle for identity from family to fraternity. So Meera, Vijayalakshmi and Mallige, the podium is yours. Thank you.
And thank you for having me here today. Hi, Vijayalakshmi.
Hi. So yes, coming to the program. So Mallige Shrimani, I'm just going to say Mallige, and
that is how I would want you to tell me. Like as I was explaining to both of you, that Sirimane, which was my father's birthplace, my parents did not want that as my official name. They wanted only Mallige as my name, but the society was so adamant on having my father's surname as my surname that they tried very hard to get rid of it, but they could not. And after a point, they actually stopped fighting against that name, and I got it attached in my official name, but I go by Mallige, and thank you, Vijayalakshmi, for calling me that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when I met Mallige for the first time, that was like 1 year back, right? So when you were in Delhi for AFRT program, yes, 1 year back. So I was only 1.5 years into AFRT. I mean, of my association with AFRT. So when I came there for the first time, I was told that you were a very senior leader. कि मतलब ये जो है मतलब ज्यादा बात नहीं करते, so थोड़ा tight lipped है वैसे करके. And I heard all this in the background. And then I was told that I was to share the room with you. And I was like, dude,
You got all wrong information about me. Who tried to scare you like that?
So then when I
Someone
was
tried
told
to
that
play a prank on you, I think.
yes, so when I was told that I have to share a room with you, I was thinking that till morning I'm not going to say anything. I'll stay out of the room as much as possible. So that's what I did, if you remember. I mean, I was sitting
Yeah,
outside
that
that Surjit
explains
Bhavan.
you coming in at 3 a.m. in the morning, not entering the room at all when I was
I was
awake.
told not to disturb you. So,
My
but
God.
after that, when I came to
Sorry
know
for
you,
that.
you were quite frank, you were quite chill about it. So even though, I mean, Malika is someone who has more than 10 years of experience in AFRT, she's way, way senior to me. So, but when I started asking doubts and when I started interacting, I found that, okay, she's not the person that I was told about. So, yeah, I mean, she has become more like a sister now. So, Maliki is also a key activist with Karnataka Jan Shakti that works with the oppressed and exploited classes of the society, basically in Karnataka. And she has also played a prominent role in Eddalu Karnataka, that is Wake Up Karnataka, that mobilized the opposition and fighting forces against BJP in Karnataka. And she was also a long-term associate of Gauri Lankesh. And after the death of Gauri Lankesh, she was also part of the massive protest that erupted against it, and also against the death of M.M. Kalburgi. And she has also worked with women in rural and urban areas. She has also worked with landless women and also with students and youth. And she was also an active member of the Communal Harmony Forum in Karnataka. तो यही बात मैं हिंदी में बोल देती हूँ, इंग्लिश हिंदी में बोल देती हूँ. तो उन्होंने 10 साल से ज्यादा एएफआरटी में काम किया हुआ है और उसके अलावा वो कर्नाटक जनशक्ति में भी काफी एक्टिव है. कर्नाटक जनशक्ति जो है मतलब कर्नाटक में जो सोसाइटी के मतलब oppressed, exploited, हिंदी इंग्लिश होगा, हिंदी इस ये सबकी नहीं पता, आई एम सॉरी. तो उनके साथ भी काम किए हुए हैं. एंड उन्होंने एडिलू कर्नाटका यानी वेकअप कर्नाटका उसमें भी काफी बड़ा रोल निभाया हुआ है. और ये एडिलू कर्नाटका जो है कर्नाटक में ऑपोजिशन पार्टीज को यूनाइट करने को लेके, बीजेपी के खिलाफ यूनाइट करने को लेके एडिलू कर्नाटका फोरम बनी थी एंड शी हैज आल्सो प्लेड अ प्रोमिनेंट रोल. उसके अलावा वो गौरी लंकेश उनके काफी लंबा साथी रहे और उसके बाद उनके जब डेथ हो गए उसके अगेंस्ट जो प्रोटेस्ट हुए थे तो उसमें भी काफी बड़ा रोल निभाया है, गौरी लंकेश के डेथ पे भी और एमएम कलबुर्गी के डेथ पे भी. उसके अलावा उन्होंने रूरल और अर्बन एरियाज में महिलाओं के साथ काम किया हुआ है और लैंडलेस लोगों के साथ काम किया हुआ है और छात्र और युवा संगठनों के साथ भी काम किया हुआ है. और उसके अलावा कम्युनल हार्मनी फोरम जो कर्नाटक में काम करते हैं उसमें भी काम करती है. तो ये हो गई मल्लिका की इंट्रोडक्शन. मल्लिका, कैन यू स्टार्ट?
Zyada ho gayi introduction. Thank you, Vijayalakshmi. And I am very happy. I'm glad that soon you found out that someone played a real prank on you, and I am not the person that you were told about. Thank you, Barnali, and thank you, Vijayalakshmi. Friends, today, actually, the topic in itself, what made me, actually tempted me to some extent to join this show was the name of the show, Andalan Jivini, because the women's movement has been fighting against all kinds of discrimination, taking from the very beginning, like usage of several terminologies. If it is chairman, then we want it to be chairwoman also, and that makes it chairperson. So like that, we have been fighting for a very long time, not only the terminologies, but also the meaning behind it and also the power which exists behind all those terminologies. But at the same time, today we see that we are claiming our space as Andolan Jivini also. If the topmost ruler of the country accuses some people of Andolan Jivi and they are ready to accept it and hug that terminology very happily, then we are not falling behind. And we are also Andolan Jivini. And women have led several movements in the history. And as for the whole evolutionary history is concerned, women also played a very big equal role in building this society, and till date it is the same. Maybe we are recognized or not recognized, that's something else, but definitely women have played an equal role or the much more bigger role than the other part of the society in creating a space where we see that today's human evolution has reached. So that the concept in itself is extremely, actually, it's very different, very innovative. And I have heard about many of my sisters who came here and spoke, and all of them are very good friends and comrades with whom I have worked and I have shared several experiences. I have learned so many things from them. So it's very nice, and I'm honored to be here to share my experience with all of you. So today, as the topic requires, let us start from my personal journey into this political space, which we call the space which is shared by all the Andolan Jivis and Andolan Jivinis. So, into this commonly shared space, my journey began almost around 23 years ago. Uh, though I don't consider myself as a person who fought very hard against the obstacles which are knowingly or unknowingly created by our own families, because my parents were also very active in social movements. As you all know, in the whole country and also in Karnataka, during 70s and 80s, there were several movements which took the social field, which took the socio-political space, and they created their own trajectories, which actually changed many of the policies that the government on those days wanted to bring in. So people's movements were very strong and they were rooted, and because of these movements, the history of Karnataka, which we can see today, has been like this. I mean, maybe it is Eddedu Karnataka, as Vijay Lakshmi was mentioning, a movement which is a kind of no vote to BJP kind of a campaign which was taken up in Bengal, but much more widespread into the grassroots level lives of the people. So this kind of a movement, bringing together so many different forces which came from the different ideological backgrounds, which came from the many uh, different social streams, bringing together many of such forces into one common platform. That was possible because of the history of Karnataka, which is the history of the movements of Karnataka. There were various types of movements. That was landless people's movement, that was communist left movement, and that was Dalit movement, which was extremely strong at one point, that it even scared away the rightist forces, RSS and BJP, and kept them at bay from the society, mostly oppressed society. And the farmers movement, which was so strong that they decided who ruled the state, and women's movement and youth and students movement and each and every kind of movement. Maybe it is Kannada movement, which is the movement which created itself for the identity of the language and autonomy. So various such movements created one such awareness in the society, which lasted for a very long time, because of which the Sangh Parivar could not very easily penetrate into the society. So this being the case, my parents were very active with many such social movements. Both of them became part of the activities, and because of which they got introduced to each other. And then they thought that if they are going to be happy with me being something that will be I am to they will be very happy if I choose my career as a social activist. And that being the case, uh, we can imagine that I did not really face many challenges in the family, but the real problem was, as Barnali was explaining in the beginning, the real problem was fighting against the social norms which want women to be in a certain space, and which want women not to break a few barricades that are put around women's space. And if there are some exceptions, those exceptions are very rarely seen or acknowledged by the society. So when one person, one woman, one lady, or one girl chooses to differ from the loud voices or the scriptures which are so far have been dictating the women's role in the society, then definitely society is not going to make that easy for her. That is what I had to face all through. And with that, the burden of sharing the common experience with other sisters, like many of my comrades and friends with whom I started my journey into this political field, many of them actually were not from the backgrounds like mine. So most of their families, each and every time, we had to make it a point to convince them for even a very small attempt, one small step, and it needs so much of a process. And every time it becomes such an emotional burden for each and every person, each and every girl who is there to create a better space for the whole next generation. That's actually a point where I started looking at the role of women's movement in the society, which has never been acknowledged very widely. Till date, women are not seen as very important, essential part of the activism arena. Like even till date, when we see women on the stage, it is mainly because there has to be a woman as a formal this one. It is not because there has to be the voice that is very important, and the people want to listen to it and make the very important aspects of that voice included in the path of struggle. That is not the case most of the time. Women's representation on the stage has also become very formal. And at this point, when we turn back and look at the role of women's movement in the society, it is very, very important. It was extremely essential. And when I joined the women's movement, it was through the students' organization. I was a student and I could contribute to various environmental movements and various students' issues as a student. And then when we started working on women's issues, it was from this point that my journey into the women's movement field started. So with the real life experiences, like the real life anecdotes, like one of my friends and long time associate, my comrade Gauri, not Gauri Lankesh, another Gauri, who is also a very active part of Karnataka Janashakti and Eddelu Karnataka everywhere. Every time we met her family, uh, though her mother was very happy that her daughter is doing something for the women, every time the fear was what the society thinks. How is my daughter going to make a living if she is going against the society? So creating a kind of counter narrative to the very popular patriarchal narrative, and creating a counter way forward for ourselves, has been a challenge for all women's activists, especially for those women who come from the oppressed sections of the society. See, this is also one of the very important aspects. Many For many years, even the women's movement and the not only the in the activism but also in the academia, women have been distinguished as a homogeneous structure, as if it is completely a big rock which is top to bottom in one shape and one content. But that is not the case. Women's society in itself, if you consider that as a society in itself, it is again divided into so many stratas. It has so many hierarchies. It has so many identities which are totally interlinked, which are sometimes contradicting each other, not always very compatible. So when such things come up, we definitely need to look into such minute details of the society that we are living in, and we can very well see that women who want to join the movements from the oppressed sections, or maybe women with transgender identities, or women with minority identities, they face it much more harder. The blow is much more harder to them than the women from other sections of the society. So I think women who have been fought this path earlier to us previously, they have created a kind of journey, but this journey is very special and very unique for each and one of us. So coming to that point where we establish a sisterhood, where we can share these experiences and think that we are all here as not only as comrades, we are all here as a family, makes it much more meaningful. So I think this is also a part of that kind of establishing a sisterhood amongst many of us who are working for the same cause. Yes.
Okay. So till now you said the societal circumstances in which you got into politics. You haven't said what really brought you into this political arena.
Yeah, that was actually not an easy choice. As a as a member of a family which was into the social movements, um, though on the one hand I did not face many obstacles from my family, but at the same time, my parents have been targeted by the rightist, rightist forces or the feudal forces of the society. When they raise, they try to mm, bring awareness amongst the oppressed masses, and they stood with them and they raised their voices against all kinds of injustices. My father was attacked 5 times, and 2 times it was very fatal. And as a young person, it was not very easy for me to choose whether what I want to become. Like many times, the burden of choice is also a real thing. um, uh, the whole family felt like already one generation has gone through so much of hardships. They had to lose a lot, according to the lose in the sense that society thinks. So already so many sacrifices, including the threat to life and everything, when it is still existing, letting another member of the family get into the same path is not very easy every time. And making it as my choice is may not be that easy for me, when I have already seen as a child, and while growing up, when I have already seen that what I am going to sign myself up for. So this being the case, definitely there was dilemma. There was that many times that hesitation which comes naturally in an adolescent age, um, whether it is turning towards the society where all my peer group which is moving towards, that was when I completed my college education, my plus 2. That was the era of globalization. So young people saw a lot of opportunities, and there was a huge influx of young people into that kind of an elite life. And that peer group which was very uh, uh, moving towards that life in a very speedy manner, and at the same time the morals and the values which I have respected always, and that actually pulling me to choose another life. Actually, for a few months or years, I was really torn between the choices, and it was not very easy. But then again, the social situation that exists around us helps us and the way we connect ourselves to the people, to women and the masses that we really care about, helps us make, make the burden easier. And because of which, as I said, because of many social movements, including the Karnataka Communal Harmony Forum, which was initiated by many veterans like Gauri Lankesh, the literary people Girish Karnad, Anant Murthy, and many other very secular-minded literary persons of Karnataka, who are very well known across the country. And there were so many social organizations, and that kind of movement actually helped many young people, not only me. There were many groups of young people who decided that working for the society was much more important than making the personal lives for a temporary period, making the personal life flourish in a particular way which the society thinks that settling down, so called settling down, where each and one of us are always taught by our teachers and our elders that if you settle down, if you make yourself good, then you are going to help the society, otherwise no. This is the most I have not heard anything which is I mean, more illogical than this. But then we understand that that is not the case. As Brecht, the poet Brecht says, the people change while changing the society. So we change ourselves while we are changing the society, and this is a mutual process through which we actually become much matured. The both ourselves, individuals, and the society, we become much matured and move forward. So like that, maybe it is that particular young age, or then when I got married, I chose my life partner. But choosing the life partner is not the only thing that comes with the marriage. Marriage brings hundreds and hundreds of responsibilities, many new notions, many new relationships, and everything cannot be balanced all the time. So, always struggling between so many balancing points and juggling so many responsibilities together, while the society tries to make your life harder at every point of time. Maybe you are a very committed activist, but the people of the group of people with whom you want to work are still affected by the patriarchal values. They want a male leader to lead them to success, compared to a woman or a girl whom they consider may not be that effective. So proving yourself at every point of time, you have led a successful struggle, and people know that you are with them. You were with them at the hardest of their times, and it was because of that contribution by the team of women who stood with them and took the issue to the logical end. And after 1 year, if there is something else, the society would want you to prove yourself again. This is a this is a vicious circle which is never ending. Prove yourself again and again and again, and at the end, sometimes we don't even understand what we are fighting for actually, what we are trying to make ourselves seen as by the society or by our organization or the people with whom we are working. So to break this vicious circle at some point and make ourselves very confident and comfortable, uh, uh, not caring or not keeping in mind the prejudices or the opinions or judgments of the society or the people or even our comrades to some extent, is not a very easy thing. So so actually it requires a kind of process which they say like stealing yourself. We need to steal ourselves, we need to shield ourselves, so that we are not affected by all this and we keep moving forward, and which is the only way that we succeed our dreams and we reach our common goal. I think I spoke more
So
than what I was expected to say.
no. So you said that inside the organization also, I mean, you are required to prove yourself at every single point, because usually it is a male who is accepted as a leader. So since you said that you have more than 2 decades of experience in politics, have you seen any change in the way you started, I mean, you had to prove yourself at every point. Do you see that things have changed for women entering into politics right now?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, there has been a change, a definite change in the social space, where we see that in both ways, change in the perception of women activists or women leaders, and change in women activists themselves. When I mean women, I also include transgender activists who consider themselves as women. So, in their own perception about themselves, there has been a big change. And today, we can see that young activists are much more vocal, they are much more confident, and they are much more determined to make their presence felt, make their presence seen and considered. So that is also a very big change. And the society, the way the society sees women and accepts them, has also changed to some extent. Though the impact of communalization and the impact of the ideas of Sangh Parivar, which have been seeping into the society, are affecting this change to some extent. At the same time, we should acknowledge it, because this has been a result of a constant effort and constant hard work by women, women's movement, and those men and other sections of the society who have supported women in their efforts. So, women and pro-women section of the society has fought very hard to bring about this change. So, definitely we need to acknowledge it. Today, it is much more. The presence of women is felt and acknowledged much more than what it was earlier. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that the struggle today is any easier than it was earlier, because maybe there are spaces where women are voluntarily included. Now, women, in a global standard, women have become an inevitable part of any social group, even if it is selecting a few what you call beneficiaries of any government scheme. Even a government scheme requires a few names of women to be on the list to get it accepted by the policymakers. So this has been the case, and there are some policies, because of a very hard and long struggle by women's movements and other movements, that today, if government grants a house for a houseless family, then the house is registered in both people's name, husband and wife. Both are listed on the register. So this being the case, inevitably women have to be a part of that social sphere to some extent. Not only the other spheres, but also the activist areas. But that doesn't mean that there are no new challenges. I think in today's world, young activists, women activists, girls, and transgenders, they are facing much more harder challenges than what we faced in a time. We can go to the discussion later also, how the value system is changing, on the one hand for the better, and on the other hand, many retrogressive values are being pushed and they are forced upon on the society and also on the organization. And through media, through constant propaganda, through social media or through entertainment channels, it has been a real big challenge for women to defend themselves. I mean, it is not comparable. Like the challenges that women activists face today, like Vijay Lakshmi, you are coming into the field of activism, and what you fight it out, the way you fight it out today, and the way we had to fight, or the way our mothers had to fight, there is no comparison. Each and everything is unique, and each and everything is very real. So I think there are new and much bigger challenges that young women face today. But still, their presence is seen, and that is because of the hard work of the so many years, and also the very bold and confident attempts by young activists today.
Okay. So, usually in a patriarchal society like ours, women usually do not get spaces in which they are allowed to speak, as in like give speeches and
Right.
everything. So, how much do you think it is important in the role of a female political activist? in the background of you saying that women usually don't get leadership positions. So, right, I mean, women are usually not allowed to take them in the social context. So, because of that, how much does it restrict a woman when she comes to the political space?
Right. Women and any other community as such, any oppressed community as such, why we want them to be in the social spaces? Why is it that we want them individually, directly to take part in these social spaces? Um, there was one time when people felt that knowing about women's experiences and thinking for women was also okay. Women themselves were not needed. Like it was like uh, what the social reformers who were men tried to do for women. I don't um, I don't try to belittle their efforts. They were great people. They did good for the society. They thought generously about women. They were not prejudiced. They, because of their stand, the political standpoint that they took, they had to face a lot of criticism and attacks by the conservative society, and they stood for their values and supported uh, the what you call that liberal idea that they had, and try to create some kind of a liberal space for women. But when women themselves enter the area of social reforms, what were the priorities? So this is definitely important to identify why we want women or any other socially oppressed community to represent themselves. Knowing about women's experience or caring about women is not the same as women experiencing it or talking about their experiences or coming to take lead in changing this whatever the already established society is. So it is definitely totally different matter. These two things are completely different. So when we say that women themselves coming into this one, they bring a whole set of new ideas. They bring a whole set of new strategies, and they know how to make it different for many of their sisters to enter into this field. And by opening up the spaces of social movements to each and every community, each and every micro community, each and every identity within the bigger identity, that the real change in the society can happen. It is not only women who should be brought into the leadership areas, or I say brought into the, because sometimes I feel like this is definitely a very conscious decision from any organization has to make a conscious decision. Many times that might not be women themselves in one particular organization that they fight and make their way into the leadership this one. Many times the society has to take a step forward and make spaces. So not only as I said, making this a big a whole identity as women, but thinking about the micro identities within one bigger identity, where we want minority women, Muslim women, to come forward and speak about their own insecurities, their struggles, and the ideas by which they think this can be fought against and can be actually overcome. That is the biggest challenge. No, after all the talk and all the discussion, what we want to do, what is our goal? We want to achieve this one goal where the society actually changes. We overcome all these hurdles, we overcome the stereotypes. So when we want to change the society, that is our ultimate goal, then we have no other go but to open the space of the movements for each and every identity and community across the country, across the world. So that is in the leadership, that is in the cadership, that is in the every level of the social movement, not to exclude anything, because we don't believe there is any hierarchy in between them. It is whether they are leaders, whether they are participants, that is not a hierarchical position. It has been made like an hierarchical position, but that's not actually. They are different roles. Women assume different roles, as sometimes as leaders, sometimes as participants, sometimes as supporters. There can be many roles, and each and every role is very important. And especially hearing the voices of women, especially those voices which were unheard so far. A section of the society, women, they have got some kind of an exposure for a long time now, but not all women. So those voices which were unheard so far, making a big space is definitely important and inevitable.
Okay, so giving space, you also talked about nominal representation when it comes to women and also other oppressed sections of the society. So this is a general tendency nowadays. I mean, we have to have one
Right.
representative in the leadership, so that's it. So even if the space is given, it's mostly for this nominal representation. So what is lacking? Is it political education or something else?
Um, Lacking is, yeah, political educations when it comes to the movements, and the real the actual intention, the sincerity when it comes to the rulers. So we see this women's reservation bill, which was passed recently, and we can see each and every type of lacuna in it, each and every type of what you call it. It's actually a trick to fool women. It's not a reservation. It's not going to gain any right to women. Actually, it's a backstabbing trick to backstab the movement, which was long standing. Women took up this movement very long time ago, though there were many doubts as to what uh, the demand is going to achieve. But still, I think this kind of nominal representation is also important when we see the experience of women who entered the representation through Panchayat Raj. Karnataka was one of the states which took up such a decision even before Rajiv Gandhi proposed one such policy for the central government, and to be taken up by the union government for the whole country. Karnataka had already implemented a women's reservation in all Panchayat Raj institutions and all local bodies in 1986. It was much prior to the union government's decision. And from then onwards, what we have seen is maybe for one generation, this one was very nominal. There were the women were only like trump cards. They were used like seals by men. They were tools in the hands of their family members. But at some point, the change has started to take place. Now we see many women representatives, and this is very clearly shown by the reports of the United Nations reports that were taken up by the independent researchers. It is very clearly seen that the women representatives have taken up the developmental objective very seriously. In Gram Panchayat and Taluk Panchayats, the developmental objective, it has gained a leap through women representatives. So there is definitely a lack of political education. There is definitely a lack of real will to help women achieve what they wanted to achieve, or contribute to the society in a real way. But at the same time, even the nominal representation is definitely important, because through these nominal things, through these symbolic things, that women started making their way into a real representation. So, but we are not going to stop there. We are not going to stop. We are not going to be satisfied that today we see among 30 men on the stage, we see one woman, and who will be given a chance at the end of the event. And when she stands on the podium, she will be advised that because most of the men spoke 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 1 hour beyond their time limit, you have only 2 minutes to speak. And then, though it's many times very actually, it's a grievance that most of our women activists share in common. That's really disgusting, and many times it makes us angry, very angry, in fact. But at the same time, making ourselves heard and telling them that it is not 2 minutes, but 20 minutes or 29 minutes or 2 hours that you are going to hear us because you have invited us here, and definitely we have very important points to make. It definitely makes a difference.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So,
you said
so you said
It's 2046.
it's echoing.
it's echoing.
Okay, am I audible?
Okay, am I audible? It's
Echo आ रहा है ना?
echo आ रहा है ना?
Okay, I'm hearing.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
So I wanted to add one more point that women's leadership actually differs from what the society has so far seen as leadership in the stereotypical manner. Leadership by giving speech, leadership by writing articles, or standing in the front and leading from the front might not be the style of leadership that women want to adapt for themselves. Most of the time, women lead from in between. You can see them standing amongst the people, motivating people, and working very hard with them. Those women might not give a big speech. They might be very effective in leading a movement without giving a very big speech. So, understanding women as leaders definitely needs a new eye, new perception, and new viewpoint, I think. This is also an important aspect that needs a lot of consideration and discussion, but we are not going into it right now.
It's 2048.
मल्लिके muted है क्या?
It's 2048.
Mallika, you have muted yourself. Am I audible? Am I audible?
There is a lot of noise.
Yes, you are audible. You are audible, and I am not muted myself.
Okay,
you're
now
audible now.
now
Mallika is
okay,
audible
okay.
now, but there's
Okay,
a lot of noise.
Yeah, I did not mute myself.
Okay, fine. Yes,
Yeah, let's continue.
yes, please
Yes.
continue.
You talked about communal harmony. You're working with communal harmony team in Karnataka. So how
Yes.
much do you think the BJP rule has changed the communal harmony situation in Karnataka and how it has affected women specifically?
Yeah, to a great extent, actually. As in many other states where BJP started ruling, yeah, there is some wind or something, no? Some noise is coming from the
That's
background.
what I said. Yes, there is some noise.
But you're absolutely audible.
Yeah,
It's better now.
is it
It's better. Yeah. Please continue.
Okay. Yeah, as we see in many other states where the BJP is ruling, Karnataka also they started with education actually. They started tampering in the educational system, and they tried to change the textbooks in a very big way. They all of a sudden they removed all the progressive lessons, all lessons about social reformers from the oppressed sections or Muslim community. Like they removed the text about Tipu Sultan, and they removed the text about Jyotiba Phule and Savitriba Phule. They removed the text about Bhagat Singh. Any left oppressed or minority leader or freedom fighter or social reformer, all texts were removed, and all the bullshit that they consider as the great Indian heritage were added into it. It was so pathetic that they don't even have a few writers who could actually write something, something which makes meaning, like which is a complete sentence in itself. But even then, they brought in hired Sangh Parivar writers and made them sit there and write a few paragraphs which they called as lessons, which were not lessons, and they included them into the textbooks of the primary classes. So there was a very big movement against this in Karnataka. It was not only in the form of like a secular movement, when the texts about Kuvempu and Tippu Sultan and many other people were removed, even those communities which consider them as their heroes, Kuvempu, the community which considers him as their heroes, definitely they are very proud of one person who hailed from their community and became a big champion of change in the society. Even the communities came on streets, which was not usually seen in many other states. This was a unique experiment that was conducted in Karnataka. Progressive organizations and associations, they met each and every of such communities and brought them all together, and it was a huge experiment. And then because of such a big thing, though the textbooks were submitted for that year, the kids had to go through the same text for one term, but this movement actually changed something in a way which we call an undercurrent which is not very specifically spelled out. What result did it bring? Did it really stop the change of the textbooks or curriculum? No, but at the same time, which actually began a thinking, it actually sowed a seed in the minds of those leaders and the community members who were so far not very aware about all these developments, who were ignorant. And this was the first time that they were facing a direct attack from the Brahminical forces. So this was again a kind of experiment that actually helped many movements, many communities open their eyes towards the social realities. And definitely that this kind of movements have also brought in a new element into the overall efforts that were actually initiated to bring down BJP from power. So that is what was very important during this the period of elections. Many such movements, like as we were already discussing, assassinations of Kalburgi and Gauri Lankesh. Though these two assassinations happened during the period of Congress ruling, the forces behind them were very clearly the Sangha Parivar, the Sanatan Sanstha, and the case is still going on. Karnataka court is still hearing the case about the killing of Gauri Lankesh and also Kalburgi. So many such attacks during the CAA NRC movement, when BJP was in power, many poets and writers who wrote against the Citizenship Amendment Act were put behind bars. Many minority institutions and the leaders of minority organizations were booked under many big sections, and such was the case where we can see an outright attack on the freedom of expression, an outright attack on activists and organizations and social movements. But that's not the only case. Actually, what happened during hijab, we have seen that the whole society was divided into two. Like the campuses were made like war fronts. The children who were sitting besides each other, who shared their tiffin boxes during the lunch, were actually fighting against each other. One group was trying to get into the schools, and another group was preventing them from getting into the classrooms. And this was the last blow to the secular fabric of Karnataka society, and also a last wake up call for all of us when the school and college campuses were turned into war grounds, and like media people behaved like they were covering some Kargil war or Afghanistan war, and they had already taken their positions on the ruling side. They are all, we call them Godi media, not for no reason. There is a very strong, profound reason behind it. But at the same time, the complete inhumanness of the media people during this period was so blatant that the bigger part of the society, this was actually very, very, Kannada media blew up the situation to a big thing. Like there were some 15 colleges where the protests started happening. boys came with saffron shawls and said, if girls of Muslim community are coming with hijab, we will wear saffron shawls into the college. So this was in some 15 colleges, but the media projected it as all the 4,000 colleges of Karnataka are burning. That was a hyped situation. That was created, a complete falsehood that was created by the media. But what was the impact was that the majority section of the society, which was not for such a violence, which was not for such an unrest in the society, which wanted a peaceful studying atmosphere for their kids, actually felt very depressed, and they did not act, from their heart they did not support this. Maybe when you ask them to take sides, there is a problem, there is a confusion on which side they should stand. Like it was created as if the this one Muslim religion and Hindu religion. It became a war between two religions, and when you make common people choose between whether they have to support the minority right or they have to take a stand for their religion, it is very difficult for them. But when we ask them to choose between peace and unrest, their support will definitely for peace, not for unrest. So this was the effort made by the progressive organizations of the Karnataka. We did not make people choose between the religion or the rights. Our effort was to bring them out on streets to say that we want peace, we don't want unrest, we don't want war in the colleges, schools. Our kids, we want them to study with peace. So with this effort, actually after hijab there were series of effort, I mean attacks by the Sangh Parivar, where a mass lynching of a young Muslim person happened, and there were Muslim vendors who were prevented from entering village fairs to put their stalls, that they have been doing for decades, they have been doing for centuries. They have been part of such village fairs, and they have been vendors there. They were prevented, and many such very inhuman attempts happened in Karnataka as a series of attacks by Sangh Parivar. It was a very clear wake up call, and against such attacks, the whole society of Karnataka rose up and they said, Karnataka is not what you are projecting it as. In Udupi, where the Udupi district, where the hijab controversy started from the very beginning, and the beginning of it was in the one college in Udupi. In the same town, literally thousands of people gathered, more than 15,000 of people across the state gathered there, holding the portraits of Swami Vivekananda, holding the portraits of Tipu Sultan, holding the portraits of Mother Teresa, Kuvempu, who is a very big poet, Rashtrakavi we call him, and many such people who spoke for secularism. Narayana Guru, who was he was a Swami, actually Hindu Swamiji, but who spoke against the all such social injustices and said secularism is the way forward. So, so many people who spoke up for humanity, who spoke up against all kinds of such false divisions amongst the people. This was a very big convention which actually turned the tide, and the next process was uh, a big, very big a networking of all progressive organizations and social sections, which tried to become a catalyst in the process of electoral politics. We try to help people understand what is the real situation and choose the one, may not be a very good choice, but at the same time, the one who is going to let them live at least to fight for their rights, not the one who is going to kill them outright. There is one saying in Kannada, ಕಳ್ಳ ಹೊಕ್ಕ ಮನೆ ಉಳಿಬಹುದು ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ಹೊಕ್ಕ ಮನೆ ಉಳಿಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ. That means when a thief enters a house, that family might survive, but when a burning fire engulfs a house, that family will not have a chance for survival. So this being the case, the final outcome of it you have seen, and all of us were fortunate enough to be part of those moments, and we learned so many things from the people, and that actually gave us the assurance that the common society might be infected by the communal ideas, but not has become total heartless as it is being projected. The society has that wisdom. The common people still have that wisdom, where given a choice, they will choose for the humanity, sisterhood or brotherhood, fraternity, and also for the peaceful coexistence.
Okay. So that was it. We are approaching the wind up time. It's 9 now. So, Mallige, thank you so much for, you were given much time to speak compared to all these speeches where you get 2 to 5 minutes, like you said, right? I mean, we have to learn and listen to our female comrades because they are the generations which took up the fight. They saw through the fight, and it is because of them that we can enter the field right now, right? So for people like us who are new to politics, so we have to learn from people like you. I think that is where the importance of these webinars, this series of webinars that lie, because we need to learn where the real fight is. And like you said, it's not just about how much you can speak, because for a lot of women entering the political arena, the biggest obstacle is that they don't know how to voice themselves, because their entire life they have been taught not to talk, right? So you've also said that it's not, I mean, even if you cannot speak much, I mean that you can be an organizer, you can be among the people and still do the work. So there is one lesson that we have learned right now, and also about communal harmony and how it I mean how much it affects women, and also about choosing between the values of the society and the values from which you come, and your own personal choices that determine your fight and the way ahead. So thank you, Mallige, for being here. So back to Bernali ji.
Experience where we learn from each other. I don't say that it is from me or anyone else that you are going to learn anything. This is a mutual sharing and learning from each other. But I'm very happy and very thankful for this experience and opportunity.
Bernali ji.
Yes, we learned a lot from you. Of course, we learned a lot from you. I have just the last question, and after that, we will wrap up the program. So, do you feel that we need actually, this idea was not mine. Actually, Meera Vijayalakshmi was, we are having a discussion yesterday, and she asked the question. So, let me voice the same question to you. Okay, do you think that we need to have a parallel, I don't know if this term is right, correct, parallel or separate struggle against superstition, especially today, for the survival of the women, the attack from the media. So do we need a separate and parallel struggle against superstition, the women? Do you feel?
Actually, I don't know if you call it a separate or parallel thing. I think the women's movement, in a big way, though the majority section of the women's movement is really very worried about the attacks on the progressive values that were that for which the movement fought for so many decades, and which were to some extent realized by the end of 90s or something, and some rights that we got in the form of legal rights and also in the social form. Though we are all very worried about our rights being snatched away, coming forward and coming out with the new ways in which we can build a counter attack, in which we can actually fight against the Brahminical value system which is being forced on us now, and the Sangh Parivar's ideas and ideals that are actually seeping into the even the young women from the oppressed sections, young men and women from the oppressed sections, to come out with a new set of ideas and strategies to fight it out. Actually, our movement has not been very successful in this. It's very unfortunate, but we have to say that out loud, because we need to identify that, realize that, then at least try to do something meaningful and very effective in the coming days. So I think yes, definitely we need to take the attacks of fascists, the attack of fascist ideology as the important issue of today's women with what we are facing, today, and definitely start building several types of movements against this. But I don't think this can be one pronged approach, like fighting against the ideas and values and such kind of this one which are forced upon us by the righties is on the one side. At the same time, at the real life level, what we see as women laborers like Anganwadi workers, ASHA workers, and many other workers, where they are actually losing their rights as women workers. And when we say transgender community, they are losing their rights for companionship in the form of the laws or the orders, the recent Supreme Court order which we saw, in the form of orders and these things. Like, there are real life challenges also. So I think building a movement against this kind of what you call that, the whole set of attacks that the fascism is waging against the Indian society has to be multi-pronged. This is not in one way, this one track where we fight against superstitions. This has to be from multi tracks, many people fighting in different ways, but at the end coming together and reaching a common space. Like the very important communist leader August Bebel says in one of his discussions that march separately and strike jointly. Maybe we are marching separate, workers rights that is from the one side, and women's rights from the other side, and minorities rights from the forefront of it. But though we are marching separate, we need to understand that we have to strike together. That is the only way to win, and that is the only way to defeat fascist onslaught on us, Indian society. I think we can continue this discussion in a much, in-depth manner in the coming days. But this is definitely a very important question. I think we need to probe and ponder on this much more. Some of the definite ideas and strategies.
I think you have also enjoyed this program. Either you have enjoyed it or you have hated it. Whatever it is, we are successful.
Very happy.
Yeah, and we should echo whatever we are we believe that India is not for the fascist regime. We believe it. So thank you, viewers. Thank you, Mallige. Thank you, Vijay Lakshmi. And we will be awaiting our next episode in the next month. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.